Hey guys, Hunter here with Foundation Disc Golf. In today's video we're going to be continuing our series of form foundations, and we're going to be talking about the upper body and the reach back and pull through for the backhand drive. Alright, so as always, I recommend whenever you're working on your form, whether it's reworking or learning, try to throw some slower, more understable plastic. I have a beat up PA3, a slightly beat up M3, and an F5 that I'm going to be working with today. As if I was rebuilding my form as I walk you through these steps. So in the last video we walked through the footwork side of it, and then I gave you a few drills. We're going to be doing the same thing, but all these drills are going to be focused on your hips up. So let's go ahead and first just kind of break down what should be happening with your upper body as you throw. The main part that we're going to be talking about is the reach back and then the pull through. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the reach back. The majority of you probably know that when you get into this position to throw, your arm should be fully extended back. Okay? The part that a lot of people get hung up on and that goes wrong is how you get to your position where you reached back. So I'm going to talk about two main problems that I see and explain why you shouldn't be doing those and kind of what you should be doing. The first problem that I see is people with two hands on their discs. So you reach back and I have both hands on my disc. Right? I'm in the right position, you know, I'm reached away from my target line, which is this way, but I have both hands. What's the problem here? It's limiting how far I can reach back, right? So if I have both hands on my disc, this is as far as I can reach back, right? If I let my left hand go, like I'm supposed to, and I should, it allows me to open my shoulders more and push that disc farther back on the same line. So now I'm here versus here, all right? So that's an extra 5-6 inches on my reach back, and it's farther along the same line. That also aids getting my arm by my body when I start the pull through, which will start my upper body rotation that we'll talk about in a little bit. But as you've probably seen a lot of pros, their arm comes down here and it's hard to get from here to this position without really messing anything up. That causes a lot of movement that's unnecessary. So those are the two reasons why your hand should get off of the disc. The other issue I see with the reach back is people starting like this and then coming around their body to get to their reach back, right? Now this one I think is the better of the two evils because you are at least getting one hand back, right? But in doing this, look at all this motion. I'm having the disc start here and then it's coming out and around and now it's back. That means that there's a lot of room for error. You know, I could stop here and start my pull through, and now my body is now facing to throw this way instead of what I'm trying to do, which is throw this way. So when you're coming around like this, that's not good. Okay, so that's mainly due to, like I said, there's a lot of different points you could start your pull through from. It might be too high, too low. There's a lot of moving parts, which means there's a lot that could go wrong. So if you're right now, coming around like this, which a lot of amateur players do, that's a very common mistake. That's something you're going to want to fix, and the correct way to do it to fix both of these problems is to, when you start your run up, you've probably seen Paul do this, you start with a little pump, right? And as soon as the disc is pumped, you act like there's a stake through your disc. Okay, so once my disc is pumped here, it's not going to move. This is where the disc stays. Okay, then I move past my disc, right? And I push it into my reach back. So if I'm throwing this way, I pump and then I run past my disc, and now I'm fully reached back in the correct position, but the disc didn't move. The reasoning behind this is it allows it to be A, consistent, and B, it makes your arm do exactly what you want to do on the pull through. So I pump and then my arm's at 90 degrees and then it slowly gets fully extended so that when I do pull through, it's the exact same motion I just did. So it's easier for your body to repeat that exact same motion. Okay, so now you know kind of how to get into that position with the reach back, all right? But that's just step one. So what you want the reach back to kind of reach its point here as you're planting your front foot, okay? So this is all kind of timing stuff, but as your front foot's planting, that's when you want your reach back to be here. All right, so once you get to this position, now it's time to start the pull through. Now, the pull through brings in a few different issues as well, a few different common issues. Probably the most common is rounding. So I'm gonna show this a little bit from a back angle here. So if I reach back here, my pull through I want to be on the same line like this, right? So the disc never leaves that line. what a lot of people do is they have trouble getting their arm to this 90-degree position here, right? This is the position you want your arm in because that allows the disc to stay on the same line all the way through the flight. So you'll see that is a straight line the whole way. What a lot of players do is they start good and they finish good, but in between, their arm might only bend to like this angle here, where it's like 120 degrees or something like that instead of the 90 that you want. So when it gets here, then when I turn, it brings it offline. You see that? So if it's 90, it's online all the way through. If it's not 90, it gets offline. This is what players call rounding. You know, a lot of players will say I have trouble with rounding, but some of them don't even know what that means. They've just been told it. That's what you're talking about when you say rounding, right? So now I'm bringing it offline. And obviously, anytime the disc is offline during your throw, that's a bad thing. You don't want that to happen. Because now what happens is if I come through and I'm offline and my timing happens to be off a little bit, I could release here, 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 all the way to here because I'm coming out. It's coming offline. If my disc is always online and my timing's off, let's say I let go early and I release it here, the disc is still going to move online because it's always been online. It might just end up shorter than you wanted, or if I hold on a second too long, you know, it might end up a little bit right in my line or something like that, but it's not going to be nearly as drastic as if you're rounding. So how do you get this pull through to be straight like you would want it? The main thing you want to focus on is leading with your elbow with your pull through. So basically act like my line is here. I'm going to try to elbow someone as I come through that's standing right next to me here, okay? So if I'm going to elbow them, I don't want to go like this because that's not elbowing, that's hitting them with my forearm. I want to elbow them, right? So that means I'm here, then I'm going to pull like this so that my arm gets to 90 degrees, and then I lead with my elbow, so now my elbow is pointing on my target line. And then as my body turns, because of the footwork that we talked about in the last video, then as my body turns, that allows my disc to come through on that straight line. So that's what you really want to focus on, right? You reach back, and then you want to get your arm to 90 degrees as you come through, and then, you know, once you get to here, it's just releasing the disc. Your body will know what to do once you get to a certain point because you'll have all the snap that's built up from the ground up, from your footwork like the last video, to the right 90-degree angle, and then you turn, and then you just throw and follow through. Which leads us to our next point. So now you have the reach back, you know you want to get to 90 degrees with some force, like you're elbowing someone, but then, you know, a lot of people still come through and have some like nose up finishes, you know, they might turn it too much or all this. There's two things here. The nose up finish typically comes from a little bit of a dip. Okay, so a lot of people will reach up high and pull through high, but then in the middle there's this dip. So your follow through is high, your reach backs is high, and so that causes the disc to come out nose up, which then there's a lot of wind resistance underneath, which is good for like little touchy up shots and stuff, but if you're trying to get distance, that's not a good thing. You don't want that. That causes too much resistance and then it'll stall and come backwards in the flight. So the way to fix that is you reach through here and then your pull through in the middle. You want about between your nipple and your belly button, somewhere right in here, okay? That's where you want the pull through, and then the follow through you want to be on the plane you're throwing. So if I'm throwing a flat shot, I'm going to run up, my reach back's here, my pull through's here, and then my follow through is going to be here. Okay, so that's all on the same plane. If I'm throwing a hyzer, I don't change this. My reach back and follow through, everything stays the same. What I change comes from my hips. So if I'm throwing a hyzer, the best way it was ever taught to me is act like there's a hula hoop around you and you're trying to lean the hula hoop forward, right? It's on your hips. So to lean it forward, you have to bend forward. How much you bend forward is how much hyzer you're putting on the disc. So if I'm trying to throw a hyzer this way and I lean forward, then when I reach back, now my disc is on hyzer, I pull through, my disc is on hyzer, I follow through flat, my disc is still on hyzer, because I lean my body forward. Then my pull through, my reach back, everything stays the same as it did with the straight throw, but now the disc will come out on hyzer. It's the same thing with an anhyzer. If I want to throw an anhyzer, I lean back. I act like I'm tipping that hula hoop backwards. Now as I lean back, I'm pulling through and the disc is on anhyzer the whole way. My reach back and my follow through stay the same in relation to my upper body, but my hips change the angle that I'm going to be releasing on. So now we've basically covered, you know, everything from the reach back to the pull through to the follow through, but that's just head knowledge. So now I'm gonna break it down and give you a few tips and drills that you can work on in a field just like this one to implement this into your game. All right, so the first drill we're gonna work on is working on getting your disc into the right reach back position. All right, so we talked about how you should act like there's a stake through your disc. I think there's two ways to do this drill. Right here I have a soccer goal just at the local field that I'm at. Something like this or a tree will work perfect. Or if you don't have that for some reason, you're just out on the course and there's no trees where you live, first off, great, that probably makes your life a lot easier. Secondly, you can have a friend just hold the disc for you and hold it in the same position, and you do this exact same drill with them. But I'm gonna be using this post here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start my X step and I'm gonna act like this post is where I pump to, okay? So I'm starting here, I'm gonna pump and grab the post, and then as I run through, I'm gonna hold on to the post. Because the post obviously isn't moving, or if you're using a tree or anything like that, it's not moving. So this will kind of teach your body what to do. So it'll look a little bit like this. So you can see that's what I want my form to look like when I run up. I'm gonna pump as I make that first step, and that gets my disc here where this post is. Then as I run by, the disc is staying in the same position, and now I'm fully reached back, I'm fully extended, and I'm ready to start my pull through, and my disc is going to be online. So that is the first drill. Once you get that down, work on this, first start slow, just kind of walk through it and get used to your body doing that motion. Make sure that you're getting your elbow to 90 degrees with the post as you reach back, stuff like that. Focus on the little things and then slowly build up speed. You never want to go full speed with this because your body will have momentum and you can't pull, so that might hurt your shoulder once you get fully reached back and have that tension on it. So you never want to go full speed with this, but this is just a good visual representation for you to do at home to kind of see what I'm talking about, you walking past the disc. So do that a few times, get used to it, get comfortable with it, and then we'll move on to the next drill. All right, so this next drill is kind of named the Beto drill. It was taught by Dan Beto. There's a video of this on YouTube, but I'm gonna quickly kind of teach you it. So this is kind of working, it's called working from the hip backwards, right? So what it is it's gonna be working on getting your pull through right. So you're just gonna kind of start here. You wanna start throwing this standstill, but you're gonna start it right here in the middle of your chest. You're focusing this way. So this is like the middle of my pull through, right? So I'm gonna start here, and once you get the disc in this position, 90 degrees, arm flat, focus on getting that right, then you're just gonna throw. So I'm gonna just stand here, and I'm gonna just throw it. Should be pretty flat. And don't really worry about the distance, just kind of worry about getting used to that feel. Just being able to throw it like that and throw it steady and smooth. Do that, 10, 15 times. You want it until it just kind of feels right. It feels comfortable, it feels smooth. Once you do that, then you're gonna go from a little bit farther back. Not fully extended yet, we're going like about here. So I was right here, I was about on my right pec. Now I'm going a little bit past my left pec, and I'm still have my feet right, I'm still doing the standstill. And now from here, I'm just do the same thing, weight transfer, and then just throw. So I'm gonna be here, and you'll notice I should be able to throw it farther. That went probably about 40, 50 feet farther, just moving it from there to there. And then do that until you get comfortable, all right? And this is all standstill still, remember that. So now I've done it here on my right pec, I've done it here on my left pec, maybe a little past, wherever it's a little bit more comfortable. Now you're gonna start and you're gonna reach back. So I'm gonna start in the reach back position. So I'm throwing here, I'm just gonna put my disc here. Don't worry about anything else. I'm putting my disc here, and then I'm gonna just throw it. Okay, so just focus on the pull through, like you're elbowing someone as you come through. And then this one should again go 50, 60 feet farther, and it should still feel pretty smooth. Yeah, so all three of those are in pretty much a straight line out there, about 50, 60 feet farther each one. Once you do that, and you get comfortable doing it with your, just normal standstill, the next step would be adding in the reach back. If I can grab another disc real fast, doesn't really matter which one. All right, perfect, the M4. So this is the final step in this drill. You're just gonna add in the reach back. So you've done it here, you've done it here, you've done it here. And I hope you notice kind of what you're doing here is you're just mimicking the different steps and throwing from those different steps to get that muscle memory built up. Because more than likely, if you're watching this video and you're working on something, there's some part of your form that's messed up, and this is just breaking it down and just rebuilding it, okay? So now what you wanna do is you're just gonna throw a standstill again, have your feet right from the last video if you watched the form the Form Foundations footwork video we did. Have your feet right for the standstill, staggered, and you're just gonna start it here and then act like you're running past the disc, so you're just gonna push it back and then throw. And once you add the reach back and the weight transfer, I would imagine this disc will go probably closer to about 100 feet farther, because you'll also be a little bit more comfortable, and you would have just done it the correct way, you know, 10, 20, 30 times, and now you're just kind of adding those steps in. So let's see how this works. All right, so it came out a little bit low, but that was just kind of me moving a little bit wrong with my feet. But the upper body, you just want to focus on pushing it back and then pulling through. And make sure when you pull through, you're elbowing. And once you do that drill and you get comfortable, then to move forward, you're gonna just start with one step. So you're gonna have your feet together, just move one step forward and throw from your first chest. Yeah, you can throw me a disc. You can start with your feet together and throw like that. It'll feel really uncomfortable, but again, it's just working backwards. So start with your feet together, one foot forward and throw, and then slowly build backwards. I talked about that a little bit in like building your X step. So kind of those same drills that I talked about building your X step, you know, starting from throwing a standstill and then working in the X step, add this drill to those. So if you haven't seen that video, the link's probably in the description below, and I'll try to put a card somewhere below me right here, so that you can go watch that video on your footwork and find those drills. But yeah, add this drill to those, and then that should help rebuild your form. And then the next drill I'm gonna teach is all about your release angle. So the last drill I'm gonna be showing you really isn't a drill at all. It's just field work. In the last video in this series, we talked about throwing into a net. That's great when you're working on just like basic little things in your form. But once you have your reach back down, you have your footwork down, we're gonna release another video talking probably more about the hips and what your head should be doing during the throw. But once you have your upper body that we talked about in this video matched with your lower body, the majority of your form should be together. And now you just need to get in a field so you can see exactly how your discs are flying. I would recommend throwing more understable plastic, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I'll be throwing all three of these. We'll throw some on this angle so you can kind of see the straightness of the reach back, and then we'll throw probably one from the side angle so you can kind of see what the disc looks like when it's pumped out and then I walk past it. But yeah, these are all three, like I said at the beginning, relatively straight discs. We have a little bit of a tailwind, might make it a little more stable. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw the putter in the mid, and then we'll switch the camera angles. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. As I mentioned, if you want to watch the previous video or these future videos as they come out, the Form Foundations, please subscribe and also check out the playlist that we have. I'll make sure I link to that in the description below. It'll be called Form Foundations. It should just have the footwork and this one in it. And then like I said, the next, you know, hips and then forehands and all the form videos that we're going to be doing on this channel. If you want a chance for me to critique your form, we're kind of testing this format out of me doing form critiques. So we're gonna have this as a contest. All you have to do is be subscribed, like this video, and then comment down below saying something like, pick me please, or I'd like you to fix this in my form. We're gonna pick one of those, have someone email us a video of them throwing, and then I'm gonna do a form critique video to kind of talk about what you're doing wrong and the steps you could take to fix that. We're going to use this, like I said, as a test format. If it goes well, we might start having that be a regular thing that we do once a month or something. But if you want a chance for me to review your form, go ahead and comment down below. Also comment if you have any suggestions for how we can improve our videos like this. Check out our store online if you want the merch like this shirt, this hat, or our great selection of discs. Thanks again guys for watching, and I'll see you next week.